Good morning and welcome back to Trial Watch with Demetra. I am Demetra Lit all day, or in my official capacity, Judge D Lit. What is so strange about these verticals is that obviously now I see the intro don't play on here, and so I'm just sitting there behind the screen thinking my intro on, and it ain't no intro playing. Boom, got it. Good morning, M. Renee. Good morning, Winter. Happy Monday to you guys. I hope you had a great weekend. I had quite the relaxing weekend, and I am ready to go for this month of March. I'm ready to go for this new week. Hello, VA Sash. Welcome back. Good morning, Lady Steph. Welcome back. I just want to go ahead and tell y'all, I'm tell y'all now, Lit Lane Jury Box, y'all get ready to what's the word? Kick me off the bench. Get ready to recuse me. I'm not gonna recuse myself. Uh y'all are in for a shake up this evening. I'm shaking things up with night court. Okay. But we'll get more into that. Today we have a 2-for-1. We got a 2-for-1 special with these sentences for trials. One for Gilland. Ellen Gilland is what, a 70-some-year-old woman from Florida. She walked into the hospital. Thank you, Lady Steph. She walked into the hospital where her 77-year-old terminally ill husband was at and shot him. They had did a suicide murder, a suicide pact. Because he was terminally ill. They had decided 3 weeks earlier to for her to take him out, to take herself with him. She walked in the hospital. She did the part about, the mercy killing for her husband, but could not pull a gun on herself, could not do it. And so, boom, she found herself at 70 some years old, facing life behind bars. So she had her sentencing Friday, and we have the sentencing for Jermaine Bass. Jermaine Bass is a young man out of Florida who was charged with attempted murder on his 8-year-old son. He shot him once in the head, but he survived and actually unaliving his 5-year-old daughter, who he shot 3 times in the head. His defense was that it was an accident. The jury did not buy that. They found him guilty, and we have his sentencing as well. As a matter of fact, I got the wrong sentencing up. I want to do his first, and then I want to do Ellen's. You guys meet me back here tonight at 7 p.m. for night court. And again, I'm switching things up. Yeah, we'll fuss about that later on. No need to fuss about it now. Okay. No, that's the wrong one. I want to do Jermaine first. All right, please hit the like. Please hit the like. Thank you guys for being official Lit Lane Jury members. And anybody who come in who may be new, please stick around. Hit the like button and maybe consider hitting the subscribe. Let's get into the first case. Jermaine Bass. He was sentenced last Friday, found guilty from a jury of his peers for attempting to unalive his 8-year-old son and unaliving his daughter. Let's see what he has to say for himself. Good morning, Jill. Good morning. Happy Monday. This is the sentencing phase. You've already been found guilty.
Of course. Yep.
Double tap the screen, please. So y'all know in the sentencing phase, they be trying to ask for mercy, ask for leniency, saying why they feel like he shouldn't get any
Anyone asking
leniency.
for these witnesses to be sworn? No. All right, if you would please introduce yourself and tell me what your relation is to the children in the case.
Renee.
My name is Richard Romeo. I'm the uncle.
Okay.
Sir, did you want to, we're here for sentencing. Did you want to make a statement to the court as far as what your family feels, how this has affected you all, and what you would like to see happen?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say good morning. First, I want to address the court. and the jury and say thank you for some kind of justice for me and my family. Jay, there's no amount of time that you will be serving to make this right. The trauma.
Okay, so this the uncle must be on the mama side. It's got to be on the mama side, but maybe not. But this is the uncle to the children
that you cause will always be affected, not for only for my family, but your family as well.
The mama side.
I tossed and turned many nights thinking, how could someone do something like this to their kids? They do not understand the joy of being a father. I guess I would never comprehend that, because being a father is the most rewarding thing I ever had to experience. Jay, you will never get the pleasure of hearing, Daddy, I love you. Daddy, Daddy, I need you, and so on and so on. I pray that that eats up at you at every night of your life, for the rest of your life, that you will never hear that again. Jay, you're truly definition of a coward. You took your anger out on your own kids that were very defenseless. You intended to hurt my family without thinking about hurting your family as well. You're not there to comfort your family members. You're not there to do anything to make it right. You left JJ to believe that he has to be my sister protector when you were certainly not. JJ asked me one night, Uncle, why did this have to happen to me? I replied to him, I'm not sure. I know that you're a survivor and you was meant to do great things.
Thank you, Livin.
He said, why did my sister have to die? I replied to him, because she knew you needed an angel to get through this life. And when things get tough, you will ask your sister, what do I do? And she will help you find the answer. He said, you're right, Uncle Richard, because she helped me this far. Jay, you did not win, though. You lost. Not only your freedom, not only the opportunity to be a part of JJ's healing and his greatness, which he surely will be. You lost the opportunity to have that father-to-father talk, to give guidance, participate in school events, sport events, and witness those teenagers and adults first that most parents treasure.
Good morning,
you did not succeed. You did not win. My nephew and my sister will heal and will grow and to continue to be great without you. While Jayla's spirit is shining down on us and we are proudly honoring her memories. You did not win, you loser. I hope that he gets the max sentencing that he could possibly get. And loving memories of my niece, Jayla.
Not in loving
Right,
memory.
thank you.
That ain't funny.
All right. Does anyone else have anything
That was
they'd
good.
like to address the court with? And the sentencing is
good.
for the purpose of the court determining how this loss has affected you and your family.
That
The
was good.
sentencing is not a time for name calling and attacks on the defendant. So if that's what you're going to do when you're going to come up, you need to reevaluate that. All right.
I didn't think that guy did that. I wonder why she said that. Y'all think he was doing that? But I think the consensus of this lane jury box was that he did it. I don't know. When we left off, it was all
Good
over.
morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
If you would please tell me your name and how
Such
you're
a loser.
related to the children.
Shirley Bass, mother.
Okay.
Ms. Bass, did you have a statement you wanted to make to the court regarding
Hey,
sentencing in
Diamond.
this case?
No, he should be able to express his motions. If not, don't allow this family to speak out. Okay. During the trial, he had no emotion today. He can't stop blinking.
I just want to say thank you. And
Okay, who is it?
Do you need some water?
no, I'm fine. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Let us know if you do.
That the mama? Okay, I thought this looked like the mom. Okay, this the mom.
It's never going to be any justice for this. But I pray that we can all move forward while our angel is looking over us all. Life as a mother and wife comes with its challenges. It's not always perfect, and each day isn't filled with sunshine. But with faith and prayer, you navigate through the ups and downs. You embrace your role as a football and cheer mom. And despite financial hardships, nothing compares to the joy of witnessing your children thrive in activities they love. You focus on their happiness, content with your daily routine of work and family life. Yet in an instant, everything changes. Your husband and children are taken away from you, leaving you to question, how could he? How could he hurt them, putting them in harm's way, knowing he's supposed to be their protector? What could drove him to such actions? No longer is it about why, but how. How could a person choose to harm their own child? A little girl who just begun to experience the world, who started kindergarten 19 days before, and who will not lose not only her first tooth, but her entire life just 13 days later. How could you? How could you take away the life of such an innocent, joyful, promising child? How could you? She will never get to experience her first dance or celebrate her sweet 16. And she'll never become the cheerleader she was destined to be. How could you? As a mother, the thought of the experiences I wish to share with my daughter is heart-wrenching. Those moments were stolen from me by someone I trusted,
tears?
who I thought I loved, in our children. Understanding that no sentence you receive could ease the pain or bring her back is a harsh reality.
Good morning, foot soldier.
You think of your son, who looked up to his father, loved playing video games, and dreamed of being a football player. How could you attempt to take your own son's life? How could you? You ripped away your son's dream and deny him of a fair chance. Yet through it all, I feel blessed to witness my son's healing journey. Tears of joy filled my eyes the first time he stepped onto that field again, knowing that what he has endured. He proudly declared that he will wear the number 5 to honor his baby sister, Jayla. In the weight of this tragedy, it is now my responsibility to ensure that my son, JJ, is protected. I am determined to create a safe and loving environment for him, one where he can thrive and continue to grow without fear.
Hey, Mr. Steph 219, okay.
Jayla is now with the Lord, resting in his arms. She walks with us every day. Those we love may leave us, but they remain in our hearts forever. Jayla is deeply loved and very much missed. We cherish the 5 years we shared with her and the beautiful memories we created. She brought us the best 5 years of our life, and our heart knows the sweetness of the angel she was here on this earth. I hope that you live your best life, experience the pain, knowing what you took from this world. A bright, loving cheerleader, an awesome daughter, cousin, niece, granddaughter, and an amazing sister. How could you make the choice to end her life? JJ is a warrior. And he has an angel looking over him every day now. It's Double J forever, and mommy loves them both. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, class.
I got to say this, right? I just have to say this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be Demetri. So why she couldn't testify? You know, she was able to get through that. For the life of me, I want to know why she couldn't testify, why she couldn't get on the stand and say, I saw him. This what he did. I just don't understand. You know, and she obviously can pull it together enough to get through that. I don't know. Get out of your head. I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't understand either. And it's not like she was just so, I mean, she didn't lost a daughter, got a son, but had a messed up finger. I'm gonna leave it alone.
I also have a
But I don't
statement that's
understand.
provided by Shirley's sister, Marlene.
All right.
Lady Stuff say, I feel like as a mother, I feel like I, as a mother, would have wanted to be here too through the trial, but perhaps she was advised not to, or she was just too distraught. That's what I don't see that she would be advised not to be there. You know, she definitely could have testified for the state, you know, or she could have testified for the defense. I just feel like, but we don't know the reasons. But I didn't see people be medicated come to court. You know, they just get some stress medication or something. You know, I didn't see people just couldn't handle it, be mentally distraught, just sit up there and cry and whatever. You know, at least try to show up. You know, I feel so bad, like I'm victim shaming the mother or something like that. But I just don't understand why she wouldn't want to testify and speak up for her children. I mean, to me, that's like a speaking up for your child who's not here, speaking up for the victim. She was supposed to testify for the state and she didn't show up. Right. Exactly. Let's remember when the police got there, she was hollering, my son, and she did not call 911. There's plenty of speculation. Absolutely. You know, that's why, and because of how I viewed that, let me just say, I didn't show like the next day of trial for this trial. It was so much blood. It was just a lot, right? I could handle it, but I just didn't think it was going to be for my channel. But one forensic, the blood splatter expert, when she got up there, her testimony all but put the nails in her coffin. Whereas I was like, okay, he did it. She ain't do it. The son didn't do it. He absolutely did it. The blood splatter expert was able to show everything, like the direction. It was him, right? So at that point, I was like, okay, no, you know, no speculation, but the speculation still is why she didn't. She just strange, right? Exactly. Live and say something is off with her. Bottom line.
I stand before you today with a heavy heart, with grief and a soul shattered by the loss of my beloved niece, Jayla. At just 5 years old, her life was taken far too soon by the very person who was meant to protect her, her father. The pain of her absence is a wound that will never fully heal. I miss her laughter, the times she would call and say, Auntie Lean, are you taking us to get ice cream? Those simple moments were filled with joy and love. I cherish the 5 precious years we shared, and I often find myself longing for just one more hug, one more smile, one more day with her. Jayla was just beginning to break out of her shy shell. She had recently started cheerleading, a passion that brought her so much excitement and happiness. It breaks my heart to know that she will never get to experience the joys of growing up, the milestones that every child deserves to reach. Her beautiful spirit, her laughter, and her innocence were taken away from us, leaving a void that will never be filled. I want the world to know that she was loved deeply, and that her laugh, though short, had a profound impact on all of us who were fortunate enough to know her. As we navigate this unimaginable loss, I hope that her story serves as a reminder of the importance of love, protection, and the responsibility that comes with being a parent. No child should ever have to endure such a fate, and no family should have to experience this kind of heartache. In memory of Jayla, I ask for justice,
Let's see how
not
old
just
he
for
is.
her, but for all children who deserve to live in a safe and loving environment. Thank you for allowing me to share my heart. Sincerely, Auntie Lean.
Thank you.
I'm convinced he did this to
Judge,
try
that's all I
to
can
hurt
say.
the
The
mama.
state's, position, obviously, in count one.
You know, they
there's
go
no
after the
continuing
children.
Life in prison. We would ask that he receive the maximum on all 3 charges on such a heinous crime, taking away the life of his own daughter, attempting to take the life away of his son. It was a horrible act, one of the worst. And we are asking Judge that he get the maximum, which is life in prison on all 4 counts.
All right.
Hell
And
yeah.
did you do a guideline score sheet on those 3 counts?
We did, Judge, and I believe it's been submitted to you via email.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Did you send it to me or to the division?
I sent it to you. I can also forward it to the division if you need.
From you?
Yes, ma'am.
I was trying to find out how old he was, but I didn't see it. He looked young as hell.
Defense review it.
Yes, ma'am.
We did review the score sheet. We had located some errors and they have been fixed, and the final copy is accurate,
All
Judge.
right. All right. Well, I'm looking for that. Defense have witnesses that.
Mr. Bass's mother, Ms. Thomas, would like
Ooh,
to.
the mama.
report.
Sure.
Yep, his son gonna grow up with this trauma, the memory. Because the son was older than the little girl. The son was 8 years old. So this is mama. It's still her son.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you state and spell your name for the court reporter, please?
Oh my.
Laquanza Thomas, LAQUANZA, Thomas, THOMAS.
What is your relationship to Mr. Bass?
That's my son.
And Judge Ward, what would you like to tell her this morning?
She looks so young.
This has been a journey, always been a journey. As a mother, my son
Damn, he 40. She look 40.
had him April 27, 1992.
Thank you, Miss Stell.
And a joy that it was as a young mother, raising him. And he was always a good student, smart, intelligent. He still is.
Thank you, Lady
Being an only
Stell.
child.
He have twin brothers, and everybody educated.
3 boys.
Everybody graduated. No one's have no charges in no schools or none of that. This the first one. Everybody's always work. My son been working that since the age of 15 with his grandmother. Then got on his own. He always been, when he met her at the age when she was 17, he always was a provider, a protector, and a pleaser, because he was the one who was always working. And he always made sure he provided for his family. And he always made sure that no matter what, they was good, even before I was good. He went back
Oh, you was
because he
good.
wanted to be
Mama.
a husband and he wanted to be able to take care of his kids.
Girl.
But sometimes you have to learn to separate yourself, love yourself more.
That's not me.
Sometimes you will be on a journey and that you can't see because you're not used to it, because it's your first love. You didn't have all those experience. And as a mother, I couldn't give you of who you was gonna love and end up with,
There's some Florida
and
people.
what the journey you would have had to go on. But I'm always here. And one thing about it, all the men's at the cruise ship, because he was a welder building cruises. His last job. They know what everyone said, nothing but good things about you. You hold your head up. I don't know. I still don't know the answer. I don't know why. I don't know none of that. But one thing that I will say, if it happened, if you did do it, it's a crime of passion because of the stories that I know.
Girl.
Why he called his mother? Because I'm always that mother.
If she don't go
That's
sit her
gonna
ass
be there.
down somewhere,
That I'm gonna come. Mama have the answers. That's what my kids know. And maybe I went and did protect them too
Wait.
much.
lady,
My kids work
Lady.
and they be at home playing the game,
lady.
even at this age. But maybe I don't know how to stop a little bit.
Child.
But I love my grandkids because I'm just like I was about my sons. I was that grandmother. If nobody else was there, I was there. I made it happen. So you hold your head up. I love you, and I'm on this journey
Girl.
with you because I know if you did this, it was a crime of passion. Not nothing else. And I thank you all.
Girl, go sit your ass. Okay, so here we go. Let's talk about it. Okay. They all weird. Shaking my head. Lady Steph saying, so it's the mother's fault that he murdered her child. Okay, got it. Living said he killed his child, and you're saying hold your head up. Wow. Her and her lace front need to go have a seat in the audience. And she's saying it's the mother's fault for his crime, girl. Bye. Okay. Miss Steph say I can't listen to this lady shaking my head. But what an example of, you can support, you can love, you can show up for your kid without making excuses, without pacifying, right? Hey, Lady T, like literally, I understand this still my son, no matter what he did. I'ma love him, I'ma support him. Yes. But all that blame shifting and blaming the mama and crime of passion, a crime of passion. So what you saying is that you raised the son and you excusing his emotional immaturity? So what you're saying is because this was his first love and he is inexperienced and he don't know how to deal with heartbreak. Because see, she mentioned stuff like that, right? That's the excuse for him to act out of emotion, for him to think, to not weigh out the consequences. If it was a crime of passion, why he went and took it out on his children? That's vindictiveness. That's cowardly. And like somebody said, I think Lady Steph or somebody said, she keeps telling him to hold his head up. No. Living said, she keep telling him to hold his head up. No, he needs to hang his head down. He ought to be ashamed. He ought to not want to look up at nobody. He ought to feel pitiful and pathetic. She real wrong for that. She real wrong for discounting the fact of how that mother feels. She real wrong for seemingly pacifying, making excuses and blame shifting it to the mom, because she definitely did. I don't know if y'all heard real closely when she said that he didn't know how to handle things with his first love and when it was time to go. That's pretty much saying that the wife wasn't no good, So, no. Did she say that the people at all the men's at his job said nothing but good things about him? Girl, go sit your ass down.
For being here.
Then she got an attitude. Then she mad. The audacity. The audacity of it all.
Anything else?
Nothing else on behalf of the defense in terms
Oh,
of
let me get some
witnesses.
coffee.
Mr. Bass is not going to make a statement here this morning.
Mr. Bass does not want to be heard.
No, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
Y'all double tap the screen.
Do you need a second with them?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I do.
All right.
Please. Okay, Lady T. Hey, Daquan. Hey, Sean P. Thank y'all for joining. Okay, a lot of comments came up. So this speaks volumes that she is not going to foster a relationship with her mother, therefore having an impact on the living grandchild. She's full of it. Right, because the mama probably ain't gonna want her to be around her. She's still okaying it and blaming her. Good morning. I hope the grandson never sees her again. Well, you got another 10 years for, they can decide not to let him see her. Also, for her to sit up there and say that he took care of his family before he took care of her, she's jealous. He was supposed to do that. Oh, yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Lady Steph. That was so freaking weird. And one thing he did was he provided for his family and looked after them before me. Ma'am, you're not his woman. It's supposed to be his wife, his children. You're not his girlfriend. That was weird. I hope I don't be that type of mama. Pray for me. I hope I don't be like that. Okay, I'm gonna try my very best. Welcome everyone. Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Double tap on the screen. All right, let's go back. So now he didn't been fostered. His mama didn't made that excuse for him. His mama didn't pat him on his ass and told him to hold his head up. Now she didn't pump him up. She didn't rally him up. So now he had said he didn't want to speak. But after his mama then spoke for him and told him to raise his head up, now he got something to say.
Thank you for the time.
Ain't that some
Mr.
shit?
Bass is going to make a brief statement.
All right.
Your Honor, growing up for me as a child, it's been tough. I was raised in a single parent home till about the age of 10 with my cousin that my mom adopted. And we had good times. We had some bad times. I've always gone to school. I've always had good grades. Like my mom stated, I've always worked. I graduated from Hillsborough High School. I'm a good person. I've worked.
Poor boo.
I've always provided for my family. I've always been a good spirit, a good cheer. I was always the favorite cousin, the favorite brother, the one who was, some people may say, the privileged one. I made sure that my family had the best. I always strive for the best. I moved my family out of Tampa to the Gibson area, 2-story home, to provide for them to make sure we had the best life in a nice subdivision. All those things I lost on this journey, but I did everything in my power to redeem
This is not a
myself
journey.
and try to make things better. I love my son. I made sure that when he was going through his speech issues, I gave him a tutor. I made sure I put him on that football field. I made sure that no matter the cost for the elite cheerleading, I made sure that my daughter was able to go, no matter what was the circumstances or hardships that my family had to face. I made sure to try to come up with some type of resolution to get them to find a way out for them so they can have a nice life as a father and as a husband with my wife. Since we were like high school sweethearts, and we've been together, and she will always be my one heart, one love, one mind, regardless of the circumstances on how anyone feels or what they may accuse me of. I know the outcome. I just want to say, after hardship comes relief, and I hope that my family and her family, they find some type of peace. And I know that it may be difficult because the accident, but I hope that God guides them and give them strength as the same strength that he's given me, and the courage.
Y'all see how that judge
and
this judge looking at him
the
like,
protection from all evil. And also, I know that God has a plan for everything, and I know he works in mysterious ways. But in the end, I know God will always watch over me. La ilaha illallah. I got nothing else to say, y'all.
wait a minute. Wait. Did he just end? Wait a minute. Wait. Yeah, he ended with a Muslim saying. So he didn't turn into a Muslim in jail, okay? Yeah. And you know he didn't turn into a Muslim because he using Christian terms and stuff, and then he end. No, he just ended in what's this called? He just ended with the Muslim saying, okay? Period. With one of the Muslim sayings. Long live the Lord. I mean, Allah, something like that. So let's break that down. One, you are not on no journey. I told y'all, his mama got him pumped up to go say this kind of stuff. His mama gave him some confidence. Allah is God in Arabic. Thank you. He could have kept that. Number two, it was very, very, very telling again, even though his daughter is the one he getting all this time for, even though his daughter is the one who lost her life at 5, he still barely mentioned his daughter. It was, oh, I love my son very, very much, and I did this for my son, and I looked out for this for my son. Oh, yeah, and I got my daughter cheerleading. I did all this for my family. I provided. Right? It was just a momentary mention of her. I wonder. He didn't say Allah Akbar. He said Ilallah. Oh, I was close with what he had said. I couldn't remember exactly which one, but I wonder if he thought this child, that daughter of his, was his daughter. If it was any question of her paternity. You know, I'm just wondering, would it be a marked difference in how he handled with these kids? 3 shots into the girl head, 1 that grazed the son, never told the 911 that the daughter was upstairs bleeding to death and injured. On the phone call, they never mentioned the daughter. Now, y'all so messing with me on this Monday. So let's see what the judge said, and let's talk about the fact that he most definitely said, he is still calling this an accident. Did y'all see the judge face? I'm spitting everywhere. Did y'all see the judge face? Now watch this. Listen, I saw this part this morning. That's why I came to it. So I saw this part.
And the accident that you're referring to is the death of your children in that statement? That's what you're referring to as the accident?
Yes.
Anything else from either side?
Your Honor, of course, has no discretion as to count 1.
Let me write this down. I gotta get that face, that look she just made as one of my
The lack
gifts.
of criminal history. Mr. Bass's statements about being a good provider and a good father are actually true.
Girl, he
He
stopped
took
being a
the
good
position of
provider
Miss
once he
Bass.
took one of them out.
She indicated all of that. He was a loving father, took care of his children, participated in their school. He was a loving husband, provided for his family. I don't think anybody understands to this day why this happened.
Right,
Just
Jill.
like echoing the comments of Mr. Thierry in opening statement.
Hey, Lou.
Why? So at this time, Your Honor, I am asking that you run counts 2, 3, and 4 concurrent to count 1. And I would just ask my co-counsel if I missed anything. That's all we have. Thank you, Judge.
All right. Anything else from the state?
The next one you'll be able to listen to.
All right, come up.
And Judge, we have calculated the credit and the clerk has the same calculation we do, and it is 917 days.
Yes, Lou.
917?
Yes, ma'am.
He's still saying it was an accident.
State requesting cost of prosecution
Yes, Your Honor.
and any objection from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
His little frail self. He did already got in him a gang. He didn't turn it into a black
And
Muslim.
on count 2,
Oh.
there's a
For protection.
25-year min-man.
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
And on count 3, there's a 20-year minimum mandatory.
I think it's the same, Judge. It's the same.
Is it?
I believe they're both 25 years.
Discharged with great bodily harm. All right.
Y'all know I got a funny sense of humor, at the worst times. But the way that lawyer look into the back, all I can think about is Price or Right. You know what I'm saying? Like she's saying. Move right along, my bad.
All right. Based on the jury's verdict,
Happy Ramadan.
Mr. Bass, on counts 1, 2, 3, and 4, you're adjudicated guilty, sentenced to life in Florida State Prison. Counts 1, 2, 3, and 4 each carry a 25-year minimum mandatory sentence. Count 1 is life without possibility of
No
parole.
parole.
That's for the first-degree murder of Jayla Bass. Impose all mandatory costs as a lien against
Life,
you.
no parole,
That
y'all.
includes the $150 for the cost of prosecution. You have credit for 917 days. Is that your understanding of your credit time?
Yes, Your Honor.
All the counts are to run concurrent. All the minimum mandatories are to run concurrent. Any questions about this sentence? You have 30 days to appeal the verdict of the jury and the judgment of the court. If you cannot afford the services of an attorney for the purposes
I
of
was just about
appeal,
to say,
one
take
will
his
be
ass on
appointed
out of
for you.
there.
Or no, the
Wait till he
office
say
of the
good
public
for his
defender
ass.
will perfect the appellate
Miss
paperwork
Steph
before they
219 say,
withdraw
I
from
agree with this
representation.
sentencing.
And Judge, may we send you an order today appointing us?
Yes.
Thank you, Judge.
Oh, they want to take his appeal. So there you have it. In the case of Florida versus Jermaine Bass for the unaliving of his 5-year-old daughter, the attempted unaliving of his 8-year-old son, a jury of his peers found him guilty, and the judge has seen fit to sentence him to life with no parole. He did not take the stand. The mother didn't take the stand. Let me leave her out of it. Let me leave it. I will never, hey, maybe she might do an interview or something. I don't know. But I told you guys, it's Monday, it's March. Foot soldiers say put him under the jail. Well, his little frail self, I hope the Muslims can help him in jail, baby, because he definitely hurried up and joined him a gang up in there. Now, with it being Monday and March Madness, we got a 2-for-1 special on today's live. We are doing a 2-for-1. That was the case of Jermaine Bass out of Florida. This is another Florida case, okay? This is the sentencing of Ellen Gilland, okay? Now, I don't know. For some reason, Dr. Kevorkian, back in the 90s, when I was in high school, I did reports on him, different reports on him a couple of times because I don't know why, but I was just kind of fascinated by the whole idea of the mercy killings and whether he should go to jail. I don't know where you guys stand. Question, I didn't hear some of the trial. Why do you say attempted unaliving of the son? Because he shot both kids 3 times into the head of his daughter, 1 shot into like a graze to the head and a finger of his son. So he attempted to kill both of them. The daughter died, but the son lived. The son survived. That's why they charged him with murder in the first degree for the daughter and then attempted murder for the son. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh, I dropped my shoe, y'all. You remember Foot Soldier? Right. And Dr. Kevorkian, he came up so many times in the 90s or what have you. But so even with the mercy killings, I don't know exactly where you guys stand, but I think that's maybe worth a good conversation one day, right? In a think tank. Do you have a right to decide when you've had enough? Like when you're terminally ill and and going through this pain, do you have a right? And if somebody, your loved one, help you, should they be punished? I mean, it is against the law, but it's been sometimes in some cases, I get it, right? Right now I'm waiting to hear whether what's that man name that just died? What's that actor name that just died? He just died last week. I can't think of his name. But yeah, it was worldwide. I can't think of it. What's the name? Gene Hackman. He just died at 98 years old over in Nevada somewhere. Right, Gene Hackman. I liked him in a lot of movies too. But he just died. His wife was dead up in there too. And the first thing I thought was murder suicide. Right? But they still looking to see and everything. I'm waiting to hear the result. But that might have been very well a murder suicide. Now I don't think murder suicides is all that. I don't think it's a difference between mercy killings and murder suicides. How you know the other person want to die? You know what I'm saying? But not to get too far off the subject. we are about, on a personal note, as one that literally took care of my mother and watched her deteriorate in front of my eyes, she suffered. I will not say I am totally against it. Right, I'm not. And the pets was deceased as well. That's with the Hackmans. I get it, Lady Steph, right? I get it, you know? And so that's what brings us to this case and why I picked it. Ellen Gilland, right? Now she pled no contest. She didn't go to trial. But she walked into the hospital where her 77-year-old husband was at, terminally ill, dying. 3 weeks before the date of the crime, she says her and her husband made a suicide pact, a murder-suicide pact. She was to unalive him and then unalive herself. She walked into the hospital. She was able to pull it off and unalive him, but she was not able to turn the gun on herself. So now you got this 70-year-old woman. She pled no contest. So now this is her sentencing. You know, and when I read about this case, like when it was going, like before I even went to the trial and she pled no contest, it was like people were saying, but because it was a mercy killing and because she was 70-some years old, she shouldn't go to prison. Age is no determinator. Not Terminator. Age, prison don't discriminate on age. You know, and you know, I feel like she did it to help her husband, but it's a lot of people that go to prison at 70-something. That's not gonna cut it. So let's see what happens.
For two.
Now her whole sentencing was 4 hours. We get into when she speak and the questions they ask her. I would not agree to nothing of the sort. Yeah, that would open. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's a tough call. Living says. Jill say, yeah, that would open doors to way too many murders. Oh, Jill say she's not for that at all. Oh, right here she said I would not agree to nothing of the sort. So Jill say ain't no in betweens. I mean, yeah, because it could get out of hand. That would be a great discussion for a think table. Let's see. Because how would it be monitored? I guess that would be the biggest question, you know?
2 years, I've been preparing myself mentally and emotionally to spend the rest. Your Honor, for 2 years, I've been preparing myself mentally and emotionally to spend the rest of my life in prison. When I was first arrested, I spent 7 weeks in the Volusia County Jail. The first 2.5 weeks were in the hospital area under suicide watch. The rest of the time I spent in general population. This time spent incarcerated has given me an idea of what my time in prison might be like. In the last few weeks, the prosecution has offered the possibility of a reprieve, and I am grateful. My name is Ellen Gilland. I was born in Iowa in 1946, and my parents, my older sister, and my younger brother moved to Ormond Beach, Florida in 1949. My father was a building contractor and built homes in Ormond Beach area. My mother was a teacher and elementary school principal. My younger sister was born in 1954, and we moved to Winter Park, Florida in 1956, where I completed my education in the Winter Park schools and Rollins College. I then spent 2 years at Ringling School of Art in Sarasota, Florida. I had a varied work career until I was in my 50s. I worked as a professional photography lab, retail sales and management for Walden Books, and had my own foliage nursery. Jerry worked for a construction firm that installed high purity stainless steel piping for the computer and pharmaceutical industries. He traveled all over the country as an installer and then as a superintendent. I traveled with him often. We decided that I needed some kind of retirement plan, so since I had a degree in education and I had an interest in exceptional education, I returned to college and obtained my master's degree at Nova Southeastern. I worked during the day and went to school at night. I was hired as an ESE teacher at Mount Dora Middle
say she
School in
sounded like a teacher.
1997. I also worked at DeLand Middle School and Mount Dora High School and retired in 2013. I met Jerry Gilland in the 8th grade, and we were friends all through middle and high school.
Aw.
We started dating after we accidentally bumped into each other at Christmas 1964 in the old Winter Park Mall. We dated intermittently and then seriously before Jerry went to Vietnam in 1967. He was a clerk typist and was assigned to a joint Air Force and Army command office. He was the go-to guy when the colonel and the major needed anything, so he was able to get to know many of the military and civilian people on the base. My brother, Gene, was in Vietnam at the same time Jerry was there. He was a Ranger and was wounded at about the time he was to have rotated back to the U.S. Due to some lost paperwork, he was passed over and wrote to my mother that he would not make it home. My mother contacted me, and since Jerry was able to call me at times, I relayed the news to him. He was able to get permission to walk Gene's orders through the command, and Gene was able to go home.
Aw.
My brother always said that Jerry saved his life in Vietnam. My husband was a remarkable man. He was kind, generous, funny, and loving. We supported each other through wonderful and sometimes not so wonderful times. He loved to cook and bake and had a woodworking shop where he made a beautiful porch swing for us and made and sold wooden boxes. We were married in 1969 when he returned from Vietnam.
That's a long
We were
time.
married for 53 years, and I miss him and will continue to miss him for the rest of my life. We did not have children since I had cancer at an early age, which returned late in life. I was diagnosed with the BRCA1 gene mutation, so I had a hysterectomy. My grandmother and my father had osteoporosis, which I inherited. I injured my spine when I was about 5 years old and continued to break bones periodically throughout my life. I have had a dozen hospital stays with broken bones. I have a replaced left hip, replaced right knee, metal rods in both my femurs, and a pin in my right hip. My left knee is bone on bone and very painful. I am able to walk without my walker,
Oh, she's saying
but
well,
use it most of the
she's
time when I have
prison.
some distance to walk or I'm going someplace unfamiliar. I also use it to keep from tripping over things like an uneven sidewalk. I have type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, acid reflux, sleep apnea, COPD, and Sjogren's syndrome. Since the hurricanes of 2022, in which our house flooded, I have had anxiety and panic attacks. I have hearing loss in both ears and wear hearing aids. I contracted COVID this past August and have repercussions of increased shortness of breath, exhaustion, and recurring dry cough. As an adult, I was diagnosed with an auditory processing deficit and dyscalculia. I've always known that my learning style was very different than other students. When I was in school, students with disabilities were not recognized. Fortunately, I arrived.
Yeah, she'll kill her foot, so to say. She pled no contest, so guilty to unaliving her 77-year-old husband in the hospital. She walked in the hospital with a gun, shot and unalived him. It was supposed to be a murder-suicide. She was supposed to kill herself, but she didn't. So now she's facing prison time for unaliving her 77-year-old husband of 53 years.
I realized on my own early that I had to take copious notes of lectures, read the chapters, and pay attention to learn. The diagnosis answered many of my questions about myself. I have lived in Central Florida all my life. Jerry and I bought our first home in Orlando shortly after we were married and lived there for 20 years. We then moved to Lake County and built a home where we lived for 30 years. When upkeep of the property became a real burden, we moved to Orlando Lutheran Towers in downtown Orlando. My older sister lived there, and it sounded like a wonderful opportunity. Shortly after we moved in, COVID hit, and my sister was diagnosed with cancer shortly after that. Jerry and I helped care for Lynn until she passed away. We decided that we didn't like apartment living and decided to move to New Smyrna, where Jerry's only remaining brother lived, and I had no remaining close relatives besides my nieces. My younger sister passed away of ovarian cancer many years ago, and my brother of complications from Agent Orange. Jerry and I rented a house on the beach side in New Smyrna and lived there a month before the first hurricane flooded our house. We lost a lot of our furniture, my portfolio, my power chair, and most of our important papers.
Not the power chair.
We moved into temporary housing and then found another rental near Jerry's brother, Sam. We were there a couple of months when Jerry became seriously ill and entered Advent Hospital Intensive Care Unit in New Smyrna on December 15th, 2022. He subsequently was transferred to Advent Hospital Rehabilitation Unit in Ormond Beach on January 1st, 2023. Jerry had always been relatively healthy until after he retired. He gained a lot of weight and developed type 2 diabetes and AFib. He had a hernia operation during which the doctors discovered an aortic aneurysm.
Yeah.
He had surgery to repair that, but also had another smaller aneurysm closer to his heart. At that time, he had a bad reaction to the pain medication they gave him. At the rehabilitation hospital, I informed them to be very careful of what they gave him. And I never said that he could not have pain medication. I watched my mother, brother, and both sisters die of painful and debilitating diseases. I thought I was ready for anything, but not the painful and debilitating death of the person I loved more than anything in my life.
Can you imagine married 53 years?
Jerry's brother Sam visited almost every day for the 7 weeks we were in the hospital, but Sam was in his 80s and his wife was ill and passed away shortly after. Since I had no children and no friends in New Smyrna, and we hadn't even been able to find a doctor, I was very much alone.
You've been knowing it since
Sorry to
8th
say,
grade.
I was bordering on the hysterical, and it was difficult to communicate appropriately when doctors and nurses ignored me or were outwardly hostile. Both Jerry and I were optimistic when he was transferred. He was doing better, even though he had a very painful bed sore. He could talk some, even with the tracheotomy apparatus in his throat, and he could consume soft food. The physical therapy department came in every few days and got him up and standing beside his bed. About 3 weeks went by, and we were expecting the tracheotomy to be removed soon. But the nurses kept giving him food, and then taking it away because they said he was aspirating it. As days went by, he became more depressed and very weak. Physical therapy stopped coming in every few days and then stopped coming at all, since he couldn't even stand even with help. I stayed at the hospital for 12 to 14 hours a day. The only time I left his side was to go downstairs for food or a cup of coffee. I felt I needed to stay with him because the nurses were being uncooperative and uncommunicative. An example happened after his first night.
Good morning, Sassy.
in the
Welcome back to the
rehab unit.
box.
I told the nurse as I left that if anything happened during the night to please call me and I would come back. I walked into his room at 7 a.m. the next morning to see him strapped to the bed with mucus all over his chest and face. He had a suction device to clean up the mucus as he coughed it up, but couldn't use it with his hands tied to the bed.
Oh my
I
God.
untied him and cleaned him up. The nurse said that he was pulling his leads off his chest, and this was procedure. I told her again that I would have come back and helped, but these kinds of things continued. I hired an outside nurse to come in and sit with him at night. After several weeks, I found out that the paid nurses were sleeping through the night, and no one at the hospital thought it was their job to tell me. I then spoke to a patient advocate at the hospital,
That
and she
hospital.
arranged to have a cot brought into the room. I located another nursing company and arranged to have different nurses there at night so I could get some sleep. They were to wake me if anything happened. I continued to eat downstairs since I didn't want to have food in the room when Jerry couldn't eat. I bought a coffee maker so I wouldn't have to leave for that. Jerry continued to deteriorate to where he could hardly lift his right arm. When he could talk, he would tell Sam that he wouldn't make it out of the hospital. He spoke of ending his life. 2 days before his death, the doctor came in and said it would be at least 3 more weeks before they can consider removing the tracheotomy.
Oh Lord, he was tired of the hospital more than life.
At that time, he started begging me to help him end his life. We discussed various methods. The gun he owned seemed to be the only way
Oh
that we
Lord,
could
not the gun.
successfully achieve his wishes.
Why not unplug the
At
machine?
that time, I had no hope that he would survive more time in the hospital. During this time, we were in this hospital. No one ever explained comfort care or offered it in my presence. They may have
Okay.
discussed this with Jerry, but he never said. His gun and bullets had been underwater when the hurricane flooded our house. He told me where he kept it, and I went to the house and
Right,
typed
not a
suicide
powwow.
note and took the gun and bullets to a gun shop.
That's
I
extreme.
told them it had been underwater, and they checked it over and said it could be used, but it needed to be cleaned. I purchased a box of bullets and returned to the hospital. It was Saturday morning, January 21st.
Who cleaned the
We
gun?
discussed the repercussions of what we were about to do. He loaded the gun, but couldn't raise it off his chest.
Wait.
I realized that to follow through with his wishes, that I would have to shoot him, and then
Wait. Miss Ellen, you're taking me too fast. You're taking me too fast. So she brought the gun to the hospital and he cleaned it in the hospital on the hospital bed? Why she didn't pay the extra money and have the people at the place clean it? And bringing that GU in the hospital, I don't know. That GU in the hospital, I don't know. Wow. And so that goes to show, to me, it further goes to show that the nurses and them probably wasn't attending to him properly. Because how two senior citizens able to have a GUN up in there, take it out, put it on the bed. You know they move slow. You know they moving slow. So in all that time, nobody walked in and seen it. She said she knew she learned different than other kids. That shit definitely followed her. Stop. What the F is she thinking? Girl. Jill say, no, ma'am. He loaded the but couldn't suction his nose. Hospital neglect is one thing. That's cold-blooded to me. It's cold-blooded that actually it sounded like they was more tired of the hospital experience. Right? And can you imagine how bad a hospital experience got to be where you just don't even want to live? You don't even want to live no more?
Myself. I told him that to do this, I would go to prison if I couldn't shoot myself. He had always protected and supported me, and it was my last-ditch effort to stop this. But he was beyond helping himself or me.
It seemed like you didn't know how to advocate for us for him.
And I took it out of his hand. I held the gun behind his ear. I pulled it away and asked him if he was sure. He raised his hand and placed it on my arm and pushed the gun to his head. There was a loud bang, and he was gone. I was already crying, and I became hysterical. The machines were beeping loudly. I put the gun on the bed, and then I picked it back up and put on the safety. It had gone off so easily, I didn't want to shoot him again or put a hole in the bed. I sat beside him, holding his hand and crying until the male nurse came in the room.
Look how long it took for somebody to come in the room. Sound like she lying or stupid. Why you so hard on her? Y'all can be, but why would she be lying? Why would she be lying? What motive does she have to do this? You know? She was worried about a hole in the bed. Yeah, she old. Welcome to the Lit Lane Jury Box, baby. They takes no prisoners over here. Anybody can get it. Lady T say, read her last comment. I did. You say it sounds like she's lying or stupid. Let me read the one before that. But why she gotta be lying or stupid? I don't see no other comment before then. No, ma'am. At that point, all logic went out the window. Read my last comment. I just feel like it was very reckless for her to bring that GUN up in there. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand why she didn't pull a plug. Like somebody said, why not just give him some pills? Like and then it sounds like, but they say it in the news article that he was terminally ill. And then she just told y'all he had 2 aneurysms in his body and stuff like that. So, you know, Jill say, foot soldiers say, Demetra, stop. That'd be me. Jill's comfort zone say her ass needs to go to jail. She knew the consequences. And she said they talked about it. And that she knew that if she couldn't kill herself, that she might go to prison. You know? So hey, she knew they waited it out. Demetra, are you feeling bad because they are old? Yes, but I don't feel like she shouldn't go to prison. But I do understand sometimes like the mercy killing deal and I understand that somewhat. But the way she went about it, that's a lot.
I was startled and said
A
he
lot.
thought some
She could have
equipment had
endangered other
fallen.
people.
I told him to leave, and he just stood there. I picked up the
He was
gun
in
and
pain.
waved it around and told him I had a gun and leave me alone.
Oh, Lord.
He left. I am sure he was very traumatized, and I felt sorry, but I needed to be left
Wait,
alone.
I was talking. Hold on.
Had a gun and or put a hole in the bed.
Let me be quiet.
I sat beside him, holding his hand and crying until the male nurse came in the room. He was startled and said he thought some equipment had fallen. I told him to leave, and he just stood there. I picked up the gun and waved it around and told him I had a gun and leave me alone. He left. I am sure he was very traumatized, and I felt sorry, but I needed to be left alone to try to deal with what would come next. The security guards from the hospital came to the door. I told them to go away, that I had a gun. Then 2 female nurses peeked around the door, and I told them the same thing. I had no concept of time, but eventually the sheriffs came to the door. I was very frightened and grief-stricken. I was afraid they would throw me to the ground and hang my hands behind me. If that happened, I would probably have broken bones and be unable to stand or walk. I told them to go away, that I had a gun. One of the officers tried to get me to surrender. He told me that patients were not getting the care they needed, and I would be able to plan Jerry's funeral, and that they would not handcuff my hands behind my back. I didn't trust him, since I knew they had moved patients from rooms close to me, and that once arrested, I would not be allowed to do anything concerning Jerry's remains. I told him that if patients were not getting the care they needed, that I was really sorry, since Jerry didn't get the care he needed. I was really sorry. I was devastated and I was frightened. Eventually, I realized that my only option was to shoot myself. I took the safety off the gun and put it to my head.
Oh, Lord.
I wasn't thinking clearly and realized that I would fall off the chair onto the floor. I
And
went to move the chair closer to the bed, but it was very heavy. I had the gun in my hand and thought it might go off while I was moving the chair.
oh, my God.
I laid it on the bed and scooted the chair closer to the bed.
Child.
I reached for the gun, and that is when the flashbang went off and the officers entered the room. I don't remember specifically, but the gun must have gone off when I reached for it. The officers were yelling and
She
swearing.
could have unallowed
There
somebody
was
else.
a lot of confusion and noise. They moved the bed away from me. I had dropped the gun on the bed and raised my hands. A female officer came in and swabbed my hands and face. Another officer came in and said he was sorry he'd shot me. It had missed and was on the floor behind me. Several officers came in and stood in the room. One of them said that I should know that he had young children. I was so confused and frightened that I didn't understand why he was telling me this. I think they handcuffed me to the chair, but I can't remember that clearly. Eventually, they got me up and I asked for my walker. They put me in a wheelchair and took me out. This has been the most frightening, debilitating, and humiliating thing that has ever happened to me. I am devastated that Jerry's illness, and especially my inability to deal with the events, led to the traumatizing of patients, staff, and officers.
So let's check out some of these comments real quickly, okay? Louis said she should have gotten that issue in writing. But if they did have a letter in writing saying, hey, I asked her to do this to take me out of my pain and misery, would that have ended up anything different from her? Because it's not legal. Child, I do not feel sorry for her. Okay. She knew the consequences and her butt needs to be locked the hell up. All caps. That's from M. Renee. M. Renee came through hot. I don't feel bad because of her age, but I do feel bad about the amount of her suffering. Yeah, it's okay to feel bad for people because they old. It's mighty strange that she could powwow Jerry, but could not powwow herself. It's also mighty strange that she found it necessary to threaten people, saying that she had a powwow and to leave her alone. At that moment, she was scared. Y'all leave Miss Ellen alone. At this moment, I'm taking up for Miss Ellen. I feel like she just got all scared and bumbling. I feel like she didn't know what to do no more. She's looking at her husband for over 53 years, dying, being mistreated. She felt like he was being mistreated in that hospital. She felt like she didn't know how to properly advocate for herself. She hired extra nurses in to come into the hospital. She hired nurses to come into the hospital because she felt like the nurses wasn't taking care of him. Then they wasn't even telling her that the nurses she hired wasn't doing the job. She had to bring a cot to the hospital to sleep there because she just didn't know what to do. She couldn't go down to drink no coffee. They kept tying her husband up. At this moment in time, she didn't know what to do. He couldn't take no more. She couldn't take no more. And of course, when she shot, there I go. Of course, when she unalived her husband, okay, she did what he asked her to do, his last dying wish. Of course, when she did that, she got panicked. Of course, she started waving the gun around saying, hey, because then now she know already, I can't shoot myself. That's scary. Lord, if these people come up here and arrest me, they're going to do, oh my God, I'm going to prison for real. She was panicked.
Thank you, Ms.
Hold on, one more comment before we continue. It's not over. Lady Steph say, I have sympathy for her. Wait a minute. Living said, I can't call it. Candy Cane say, oh, wow. Jill talk about lock her ass up. Put something to talk about. There she go. Talk about me. Y'all double tap y'all gavel on the screen. Okay, and so Lady Steph say, I have sympathy for her and her husband again. As one that has experienced this firsthand with illness, I get her despair. I just don't think she intended on getting rid of herself. Well, she said, I think that Jerry might have been telling her, well, you need to kill yourself and come with me. And she was looking at Jerry like, no, Jerry, I can go knit me a couple of sweaters in prison somewhere. Okay. I can always go up in prison and write letters. I can go to prison and be a teacher. I can go to prison and you know, and you know. She put a lot of people at risk. Absolutely. I feel that way too. It is normal for patients to be restrained when they are pulling at their equipment. That is helping them to stay alive. It's hard, but necessary. I understand all that. I understand. And I definitely understand she put a lot of people at risk. You know, she could have unalived somebody else who wasn't ready to end their life, who wasn't ready to stop fighting. You know what I'm saying? I felt that was very intrusive how they brought that GUN up in that hospital. Let's continue.
Mr. Interlicchio, did you have questions to
I
follow
got a
up on?
question because y'all got to
Yes,
remember, she pled no contest, so she never got on the stand. She wasn't directly asked questions. She wasn't cross-examined.
She needs to be sworn in now.
Okay. Please raise your right hand to be sworn in now.
Look at her little bitty self. She tiny.
Yes.
All right. What's that? Yeah, that's what I thought. That's why I'm positioning. All right, now, Miss Gilland, You heard from hospital staff here today that you've been violent with them, that you put your hands on them, and that they've told you if you do that again, you'll never come back to that hospital.
I had one altercation with a nurse. The reason I never put my hands on her, I had gone either to have lunch or get a cup of coffee. I don't remember. I walked into the room and she said, Mr. Gilland has some pain, so I gave him some Tylenol. And I lost it because I had been, it seemed like every time I left the room, they would come in and do something, and then they would tell me about it. Or Jerry would say they were in and they did this or that. One time I walked in and they had put some new things on his trach, and he had mistakenly pulled the cap off and put it on his nose. And I walked in and I said, no, honey, this goes on your trach. And I put it back. And it just seemed like things like this happened constantly, that I had no say in anything, that they weren't responding to me. And he was just getting worse.
He was there for 20 days, right? 20 days he was at this select care?
Yes, 2021.
And as you described it, you didn't like how they were treating your husband. You didn't like the care, the treatment. Did you look to move him to another location?
When he was moved from the initial hospital to this new hospital, I had talked to them about where he was going to go. And I was thinking about having him move to Orlando, where there were bigger hospitals. And I was afraid that by the time he got there, that he wouldn't survive it. So when they said there was a hospital north, I said, fine. And I had the same fear that if we tried to move hospitals, that he wouldn't make it. He weighed 330 pounds just before we moved to New Smyrna. 330. I did say that. I said 230 some other time, but 330 pounds. He had lost about 40 pounds before he went in the hospital, as we had been trying to diet because of his health. I'm sorry, I've lost the train.
I get it. If someone like you struck, you're there 24 hours, basically almost 24 hours a day, you try to kind of stay at the hospital constantly, right? To monitor his care and be by his side.
I'm sorry, I'm losing you.
I mean, you were trying to stay right by him and monitor his care, right?
Yes.
And you felt if you left the room, they would do something wrong, correct?
Well, they would just do something and then either not tell me or I just felt completely out of control with anything. I felt like they were not responding to me. And in fact, several of them were openly hostile. They would come in the room and he still weighed maybe 280. So it was very difficult to move him around the bed, and he would slip down And so they would come in and the sheet, they would, two women, one on one side and one on the other, and they would move him up. And they would be so violent that they would crack his head against the headboard. And it was very painful for him. And then they would, roll him around how they have to do to change the bed and things. And so I don't remember when it was, but he told me that he had a sore throat. And so I thought maybe they had some kind of spray or something that might help him. So as I was going out to ask, 2 nurses came in, and I just said, please be careful and don't hit his head against the headboard, because I'd been there when they had done it. And this one nurse said, well, I'm never coming back in this room again. And I said, oh, great. You're not going to service this patient because you don't like me. And I think she got embarrassed. I had left the room and I went out to ask about something for his sore throat. And the nurse there at the station, I said, he has a sore throat. Is there something I can give him? She said, oh, now you want pain medication. I said, no. I said, he has a sore throat. All I'm asking is if you have something to help him. And she said, well, it'll be Monday. This was the day before, I guess, because it was Friday. And she said, it'll be Monday before we can have anything. I know that at times I have a lot of difficulty communicating things. And I don't lose my temper very often. I worked with students with learning disabilities and behavior.
So I see that we kind of split down the middle here. What do y'all think? The Lit Lane Jury Box, the chat. What do y'all think? Do y'all think she should get prison or don't get prison? Should they be lenient on her or not be lenient? What do y'all think? What would y'all give her? What would y'all do? Lady Steph said this was her life partner. When we say life, she was married 53 years, knew him about almost 60. That she was watching leave her and she was afraid, frustrated, helpless. They didn't have no children. They only had each other. At that age, a lot of their relatives was dead. All nurses ain't good nurses. She would have had a point. I just feel like she should have took him someplace else. She must have had been having a hard time moving them, because even when she first was unhappy with the nurses, she had to hire a outside nurse. It's very hard being a caretaker. And Renee say prison. Do they have a senior halfway house? Good question. Leniently incarcerated. Okay. Right, Lady Steph. What about house arrest? A few more months in jail and then let her out for time served. Okay. Let's see.
Disabilities for 15 years.
This is a tough one.
You can't do
Nurses
that
wasn't
and
good.
lose your temper. I
I'm
was
beginning to
trying
feel
do
bad
the
for
best I could
house arrest
with very limited knowledge of what was going on about him. When we first put him in the hospital,
Let me just stop you. I think you're getting kind of far from my question. You described,
She
now
can
as I've
talk.
asked you, you're describing numerous instances of like basically the staff mistreating you and your husband, being rough, being,
Light sentence,
you know,
ladies now.
Yes.
not giving him the treatment and the care, and yet through all of this, you never looked for another location to place him, right?
Somebody just
I
said
never asked to be moved because I didn't think it was in the, I thought putting him in
she didn't know what.
an ambulance and moving him someplace else. I mean, how do you know that where you're going is going to be any better than what you've got?
Now, you're college educated, got a master's degree, right?
Yes.
And you're telling the court today you've never heard of hospice?
Oh, I never said I didn't hear of hospice. I said that the hospital never offered us any kind of other care. They never said we can move him into hospice.
She
were
needed a
told
patient advocate.
that this hospital was a rehabilitation. Now, that means to me that he was getting better and he was going to get better and we were going to be able to go home.
Okay, but when you made the decision, or
That
you're
don't make no sense.
saying now that Jerry made the decision to kill himself, you didn't think to say, hey, let's just do hospice. Let's do it humanely. Let's do it where I can be by your side. I can hold your hand.
A light sentence,
through
huh?
your dying moment.
Bless her heart. Miss Steph torn up.
Because they kept saying that he wasn't dying. The doctor came in and said, after we'd been there for 4 weeks, he came in and he said, well, I guess it's going to be another 3 weeks before we can even consider removing the trach. Well, to us, they had been saying that he was getting better, but he wasn't. He could hardly even move his arm.
All right, and you understand in a unit like that, it's going to be 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That his recovery, due to his size, due to his health, it's going to take time. You understood that, did you
Right,
not?
Emma Renee?
Yes, I understand that it's that
But it was only
it
her.
isn't a straight line to recovery.
All right,
But-
and even so,
Ms. Turner, like, you'll let her finish the
Go ahead.
response, please.
That's one of the attorneys. Sound like the prosecutors.
If you were finished, that's fine too. I thought there was.
Right, like me and my sister switched out. It was
there
just her.
was, but I've lost it.
you said there wasn't a straight line to his recovery.
Yes, we understand that. It's just that they never said he's not getting any better. Why don't you consider hospice? They never, no one ever said that to me.
Well, maybe that's because he wasn't needing hospice. Maybe he wasn't at the end of his life. Did you ever think of that? That's why they didn't tell you that?
I think he had to be there.
Sure.
I don't think you can stand there and say to me that maybe or maybe not. I was not functioning correctly. I've already said that I didn't respond to people as well as I should have.
That's a hard situation.
That's the only thing I can think of.
And so,
My hope was for him to get better. But when they quit coming in and even trying to get him out of bed to stand him on his legs, and he couldn't lift his right hand. He was always a very strong man.
so there was the first swallow study, which is that kind of.
I'm sorry.
There's that first swallow study, right, that was done with your husband, where they're trying to let him eat food
Yes.
and everything else. And he didn't do well. He started to aspirate. He had problems.
Yes.
And so the hospital explained to you, hey, it's going to be a little bit and we'll do it again. Correct?
Yes.
But then on the 20th, you were, the day before he was killed, you were pushing the hospital to do it again right then and there on the spot.
She's ready for him to eat.
No,
You don't recall that?
no.
So the medical records are wrong, where the medical records that I showed earlier today that said you were basically going around and complaining to everybody that you wanted it done and it wasn't getting done.
What wasn't getting done?
Another swallow study.
No, I don't. First of all, they didn't ever explain anything to me. The doctor came in and said it's going to be another 3 weeks. Well, another 3
All
weeks.
right, Lady Steph, I understand.
I don't understand
Always
why
take
I
care of
would have
yourself,
been
you guys.
demanding that they do another one. I could see
This
where
could
he
be
was
triggering.
aspirating. The tube was clear. You could
Hopefully
see
me and
the,
my mom will come
the
after work
jello.
during the day.
You could see the color.
And so on the 21st, you went home and typed up a suicide letter, right?
Yes.
I forgot to say that this could be triggering. I didn't think about that.
And so you typed up this suicide letter that day, right?
Yes, I didn't actually go home to write a suicide letter. I just thought that I should do something when I went to pick up the gun.
And then here you claimed it was his idea to do it, right?
Yes.
Except when medical staff had met with your husband day in, day out after the 6th, every day he never stated he had any suicidal thoughts.
Yes.
He didn't trust them.
The medical records do not show that.
He didn't trust them.
They
I believe
they
her
show
when
that
she say.
they talked to me about hospice and they didn't.
So what you're saying is this hospital mistreats your husband. What they're documenting is wrong. You're saying and they were aggressive towards you, your husband. You never look for another location. You never do any of these other things. It's just the hospital's fault. Everything's the hospital's fault.
No, I don't think everything was the hospital's fault. I'm saying
Right.
that I was
It's
in a
unfortunate she made a
very
bad decision. A few of them.
stressful
That's a
situation
good point of view.
after several stressful years of moving around, being in a hurricane, having my husband fall ill, being in and out of hospitals, trying to get help. I am not blaming the hospital. I'm telling you how I came to be in the situation I was in to the best of my ability. I have no animosity. I was describing the things that happened
That's a
to
good answer.
me and happened to children.
That's a good answer.
So
People have conversations
I mean, they
with
didn't
spouses
kill
that they
him.
don't have with others, including
No.
doctors.
that
Exactly.
was you, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
Exactly. Came.
on that day,
And
you
people
come into
will
the
write
hospital,
bullshit and
and
charge
did you
to cover
see the
their
other
ass.
families around
Did I
on that
see?
floor? Since
No.
you were there that much,
No.
you never saw the other
Oh.
patients?
You mean during the weeks we were there?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
So you knew there were a lot of patients, right?
Yes.
And they were critical, just like how you described your husband.
Well,
Yeah, you might
I
not know
was
their condition. but-
going under the assumption that these people were there for rehabilitation, meaning that they weren't hopeless cases, that eventually they would get better and they would get out of the hospital.
You would think that if it's
And
rehabilitation,
as you were-
they're not
as you
dying.
described it, you were feeling overwhelmed from these kind of years of
That makes
unfortunate
sense.
events happening to you. Did you attempt to get any mental health help?
Me?
Yeah.
I did go to a mental health counselor for a couple of visits after our house was flooded, and I was having panic attacks every time it started to rain. But as far as at this time, no, I was completely consumed by.
I think that's kind of unfair. We're just getting into the last 10 years, maybe 10 years, y'all, where mental health and getting mental help and mental health care is such a talked about deal. She's 70 some years old. Mental health and doing all that stuff for yourself ain't always been a talked about thing, a accepted thing, a next step deal, so that's unfair. I'm just being honest, in my opinion.
Trying to be with my husband and be with him when he was ill.
And
A lot of things just started happening in the last decade or so.
That he wanted to die that day is coming from you, right? There's no other evidence otherwise. You didn't videotape anything. He didn't write this note. He wasn't suicidal to any of the hospital staff, even though they questioned him day in, day out after January 6th.
I have no evidence. I know that his brother, Sam, realized that he was suicidal. Sam was there at least 3 days a week, if not more, in both hospitals. But Sam has passed away since then. So, no.
All right, so you decide on the 21st that you're going to essentially take a hospital hostage. You're going to take a hospital hostage.
Well, I didn't think of it in that way, no.
You didn't. You're not naive. You're not a child. You're
I don't think she says. I don't think she was thinking that she was taking the hospital hostage. They're doing too much.
Killing your husband was going to cause the hospital to be locked down.
No, it didn't.
They didn't have any children. They 70 some years old. The brother and sister-in-law, they in their 80s. Everybody don't have a close and big family. Obviously, if nobody else was visiting him in the hospital besides his 80-year-old husband, not husband, 80-year-old brother, it wasn't any extended family younger. Nobody was stepping up to the plate. Jill say, I'ma just hush. I don't like this lady pushing her, this lawyer pushing her. She has suffered enough. Right. He's doing his job, but damn, like at this moment, she getting overwhelmed. Can you imagine,
That I didn't proceed with it in the.
I mean, how do they feel towards her? I read an article where the family was in support of her.
To that degree, no.
She could have harmed other people in the hospital. Very true.
Your husband, you point the gun at the nurse.
This is a tough one.
Right? And you saw him terrified. Right?
Well, yes, he was frightened.
He was, right?
Yes.
And he was in that room for a couple of minutes.
Wait a minute. Amber Naden came in hot. Hold on. Let me tell y'all something. If my mama would have unalived my daddy and tried to tell me something about some kind of pact, I would have told the judge to lock her butt the hell up. That's it. That's all. Jill says bullets have no names. Ooh, this was a good one. Obviously, I like to pick ones that gives us something to talk about, that gives us something to think about. It's never been the case whereas we have to agree in this jury box. In the Lit Lane jury box, we don't have to agree, but I do like content that make us wonder, what would you do? And it's doing that right now. So, hey, great participation from the jury box, Lit Lane jury box. I'll chat. Excellent conversation going on.
It's just frozen in terror.
She played no content.
There, but I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about my husband and the fact that I just wanted to be left alone with him.
He's dead. You killed him. You're standing there. You're holding a gun to a frightened man for minutes. and nothing is going through your head thinking, what am I doing to this poor man?
Ain't nobody jumping you in, Renee, girl.
Yes,
I
I'm
understand where you
sure
coming
that I
from.
thought
I understand where
that he
everybody
was
coming
frightened.
from.
I wanted him out of
Hey,
the room.
Tweety,
That was all
you're
I
missing
could
the
think
good one,
about. Was I
girl.
wanted him to go away
Definitely
so I
thought
could
provoking.
sit with my husband.
Okay, and security comes,
Yes.
they respond to the river. And then they put their lives in danger because they're not armed, they're not wearing bulletproof vests, and you've got a gun to them.
Well, to their view, yes, their lives were in
Thank you,
danger, but
sweetie.
I never would have shot anyone else.
Okay.
I mean, that's just me saying that too. You're saying that everything I'm saying is just me saying it.
But you were pointing a gun at them, right?
Yes, I pointed the gun toward the door.
Where he's standing.
Well, they were kind of peeking around the corner.
And so if somebody was holding a gun to you, would you not think that they meant you harm?
Yes.
And then law enforcement responds. And one of them was Sergeant Coy. And he responds, and they come in with the ballistic shields, and you've got a gun on them as well.
By that time, she was
You
scared
pointed
as
a gun at
hell.
them as well.
Let me stop hollering. My
yes.
bad.
Okay? They ask you to put the gun down. Do they not?
Yes.
Do you do it?
Went to give her the key to the
I
witness
put-
protection, jury protection
No,
room.
the only time I put the gun down that I remember was I was at
Yeah,
the
we
end.
all think differently
I
because
was getting
again,
exhausted.
what my parents had
I
a
put the
discussion,
gun
I
to
wasn't
my
privy
head.
to. Right.
I took the safety off and I put the
I
gun
couldn't wait
here,
until I pulled over. I'm
and
listening.
then I realized
Sassy says, I couldn't wait till I pulled over. I'm listening to her tell this story. She needs a book deal, but she needs to be locked up. Maybe she might get a book deal in prison. And you know, y'all saying that she mean old people live forever. Okay? Nah, we're about to rumble up in here. Well, it seems like most people, y'all, this hair is itching me. Lord, order in the court. Order in the court. Okay? Y'all getting rambunctious. And we also, y'all know when we get to that 2-hour mark, everything get kind of fuzzy for us. We got like a 2-hour attention span. Great live, y'all. Great participation.
That I would probably fall on the floor, which
she didn't want to
for
break a bone.
40 years I've been very careful not to fall on the floor. I wasn't thinking straight. And
wait to give her the key.
I laid the gun down so that I could move the chair. And that was when they came in. I had moved the chair to where I thought it should be so that I would fall on the bed and not on the floor. I mean, it sounds stupid, but that's what I was thinking.
So law enforcement negotiators had to sit there with you for hours trying to convince you.
Not a standoff.
Put down the gun and surrender, and you didn't surrender.
They had a whole standoff.
And then they tricked you ultimately with writing a letter, right?
By writing a letter.
By writing a
the
letter,
entire
they're trying
mess.
to trick you into putting the gun down so they can make entries.
Writing what letter?
The note that you wrote on the approach, it's already been entered into evidence, it states 4. Do you recall writing this?
Oh, I guess I did. No, I didn't remember writing that, but that's my handwriting.
Right, this could be
All right, this
triggered.
is what you were writing when law
Thank
enforcement
you
was asking
for
you to
sticking
write
it out,
a note.
Living.
When the hostage negotiator ransom was asking you to write a note to your family, right?
That's to say, she sounded like she didn't make this up. She was just tired. Why would she be worried about
All right,
falling
you
if
told-
she was
you're
able to
writing,
take
this is your
herself
writing.
out?
Sam Angie, I am so sorry it turned out this way. Jerry thought he would be able to do it himself.
I think I got an answer to that. You know, women do think about these type of things, just like with other suicides by gun. Women are less likely to use a gun because they think about the mess that would be left. They think about who would clean it up. Women do think about those different things, you know. Just like she thought about the hole in the bed, shooting and putting a hole in the bed. Just like she thought about, you know, hey, let me not accidentally shoot him again. You know, she was a teacher, right? A late in life teacher. She did a number of other things, but in her retirement from the other deal, she went back to get her master's. Then she became a teacher.
But he was physically too weak. I know you will hold this against me. I would in your place.
Wait a minute, let me
I
rewind
thought
it.
I was stronger, and
He reading the letter.
the hostage negotiator ransom was asking you to write a note.
Not a hostage
Right?
negotiator.
And this was the note.
It looks like it, yes.
All right, you told, you're writing.
Welcome
this is
back,
your
lady
writing.
stuff. Yes, always
Sam
take care of
Handy,
yourself.
I am so sorry it turned out this way.
Damn, I'm
Jerry
talking
thought
again. Hold on. Damn. Let me stop talking over the letter.
he would be able to do it himself, but he was physically too weak.
That's my handwriting.
All right, and this is what you were writing when law enforcement was asking you to write a note. When the hostage negotiator ransom was asking you to write a note to your family, right?
Okay.
Listen,
And
yeah.
this was the note you wrote.
It looks like it, yes.
All right, you told, you're writing, this is your writing. Sam Hangy, I am so sorry it turned out this way. Jerry thought he would be able to do it himself, but he was physically too weak. I know you will hold this against me. I would in your place. I thought I was stronger and I could shoot myself right away. Now, all I have done is write this fruitless and boring note. Those are your words, right?
Yes.
Sam and
Fruitless
Angie
and
was
boring
brother and
note.
sister-in-law.
You've held the hospital hostage
Get him off my back.
for hours. You realize that, right?
Yes. Now I do.
You didn't realize you were holding people hostage.
I realized that there was a lot of commotion. I knew that they had moved people from the two rooms beside me. And I even told the officer that I was very sorry that people weren't able to get the care they needed. But I wasn't analyzing things. I was in shock. I was in pain. I was grief-stricken.
Traumatized.
You were in pain, you were in shock, you were grief-stricken, but those are all your actions that led to it.
Yes.
And so law enforcement ultimately
Oh,
makes the
Mr.
decision
Get off the
to enter that
gas.
room because you
God
put the gun.
Damn. He doing too much.
Yes, I put it up and I had laid the gun down to move the chair and I went to pick it up. And when I picked it up, the flashbang went off. That's when the shot must have gone off because I was picking it up
What the
to
hell is a
shoot myself.
flashbang?
I actually had made the decision and I was going to do that. I don't remember the shot going off into the ceiling. I don't.
Oh my
I
God.
don't
That's
remember
shot
that.
into the ceiling,
Okay,
Nick,
well, Sergeant
upstairs.
Moore, and you can hear it from the audio as well from the video. Flashbang goes off in the room. You don't realize it, but it's Tarek Kusami is the one who has that grenade launcher that makes entry into the room. And once that flashbang goes off, Sergeant Moore comes into that doorway and he watches you pick the gun up and fire it in their direction. He can see the muzzle flash in his direction, not at your head,
Now she tried to shoot at them.
right towards them.
That may have been what he saw, but what I remember doing is getting ready to shoot myself. I have an excellent visual memory, and what I remember happening is what I said. I laid the gun down. I moved the chair. I reached for the gun to put it back to my temple or my whatever this is back here. And as I started to pick it up, the flashbang went off. I don't know anything seriously. I know just a teeny bit about firearms. I don't know about a muzzle flash. I don't know about any of that. I know what I did.
Living says she shot at everybody but herself. And 20 on 10.
That I will regret many of my decisions for the rest of my life. But
she wasn't trying to shoot at nobody else, threaten nobody else.
From a man
that's why your
been
ass shouldn't
around
have it in the
guns
first
probably
place,
most of his life. I don't know what to tell you. I can only tell you what I remember happening.
Well, what Sergeant Marr describes is the difference between him sitting here testifying.
Yes.
Or him being dead. Was your wrist moving about an inch?
I object. I object. We understand you're doing your job, state. Right now, you're doing too much. You're putting on for your city. Right now, you're trying to make a name for yourself. Right now, you're doing too much. Please stop all the posturing and sit your ass down so I can make my sentencing. Oh my God.
It probably was at that time because I had taken the safety off of the gun, but I did not mean, I never, ever meant to hurt anyone else.
All right, nothing further.
Did you want to inquire, Ms. Gilland? Okay, thank you, ma'am. You can take your seat.
Child, I thought we were going to hear the sentencing. Give me 1 second. Child, watch with Demetria. Please double tap the screen. I'm sure y'all have. Thank y'all. 1 moment. Child, I thought that that was the sentencing. 1 moment. I'll be right back. 1 moment. Oh, y'all couldn't hear me. Good thing y'all couldn't hear me. We might look at tomorrow some other parts to this hearing. It was a 4-hour hearing, and they had some of the employees from the hospital. Why they got a video, y'all, of a black security guard, and it say security guard says that she said wait a minute. We're gonna watch it tomorrow. So one of the security guards, the black guy, say she told him she was gonna shoot his brains out. Blow his brains out. And then they showed the body SWAT. We're gonna watch some more of this tomorrow. But here goes the actual sentencing.
Fully tolerated abuse from the program if that does happen. So to kind of reiterate, Ms. Gilland, you're here on the
the counts that your attorney stated, you've got the 1 count of assisting self-murder or manslaughter, 2 counts of aggravated assault with a firearm, and those refer to Mr. Jackson, the security officer, and Mr. Aponte, both of whom testified here today. And then you have that 4th count of aggravated assault on a law enforcement officer with a firearm. And there were 6 officers who were named as victims in count 4 of the indictment. So the score on the criminal punishment score sheet is 115 months, which would be 9 years and roughly 8 months. The state, as you know, has agreed to waive the minimum guidelines and agreed to cap your punishment at 10 years prison. And I first want to talk about some of the testimony that I've heard today. And Ms. Gilland, I accept your testimony today that you've given with respect to the fact that Jerry was suicidal. I know there's no records that document that, but I accept what you stated, that he told you and continued to express that he was suicidal. I think that makes sense, that a husband would confide in his wife of 53 years with respect to his serious emotional condition. I accept your testimony, ma'am, that his condition was worsening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I accept your testimony that you and Jerry jointly decided to commit suicide, that you believe that was the only way out. And I accept your testimony that you do not remember staff informing you about comfort care or hospice. I think the doctor testified honestly with respect to what hospital procedure is, but I think it's highly likely that that either didn't happen or that you don't remember it. Also, I accept Dr. Danziger's testimony that you continue to not be a risk of danger in the community and that you were suffering from some sort of mental health episode on the date of the incident. I want to point out that, as everybody knows, this is not just a case about you and your terminally ill or very ill husband, because we've heard from the fact, from the testimony today, that there are many other victims in this case. And by entering your plea, you've admitted to having pointed a firearm at 2 hospital employees. You've admitted to having pointed a firearm at many police officers as well. And we've heard today that there were 34 patients, 33 other patients on that floor who potentially had their their medical treatment disrupted, not to mention putting them in fear for their lives and perhaps their family as well. And then I don't even know how many hospital employees and their family members were impacted by the decision that you made. And it has come out today that you're educated, you have a master's degree. Some of these letters describe you as smart and patient and kind and generous and thoughtful, but your actions on that date were none of those things. And your attorneys identified in the sentencing memo a few other similar cases where an elderly defendant had killed his or her spouse in some type of a mercy killing where that spouse was seriously ill. And the difference between those 3 cases that were identified and this one is the other victims. And that's what makes this case different to me. A lot of the letters that were sent in and even some of the testimony today talked about aid in dying laws and how Florida should have such a law. This is not the proper venue to make that argument. I am not a lawmaker. That is not my focus. That's an argument that needs to go to the Florida legislature and them only. Now, that's not to say that I'm unsympathetic to you, ma'am, because I can't fathom the difficulty of watching your husband's medical condition deteriorate to the point that he was in that constant kind of pain and wishing that he were dead. I can't understand that. I can't begin to understand how difficult it would have been for you to actually pull the trigger to assist your husband in ending his own life. I do believe that that is what you did. And so the punishment that I'm going to impose in this case is related to the other charges against you primarily. I've heard from the victims today, and I am highly persuaded by that testimony about the trauma that was.
We're gonna watch that tomorrow.
So, ma'am, I am going to adjudicate you guilty. You will be a convicted felon as a result of this incident. I'm going to sentence you to 366 days DOC. That's prison. And you will get credit for the 42 days that you've served. That'll be followed by 12 years of probation. The probationary terms are that you have to write letters of apology to the civilian victims and the 6 law enforcement victims that were identified in the indictment. And then this is an important part of the sentence as well. I want you to perform a minimal amount of community service hours per month for as long as you're physically able to do that. I want you to do 8 community service hours a month, so that's maybe 2 a week. And I don't care what you do, but I want you to realize, man, that your life still continues to have value and you can contribute to society.
82 a week.
You can even do work from home, like telephone or even via an internet connection. Again, I don't care what you do, but I want you to give back and I want you to enjoy the feeling of giving back to others as well. And then last but not least, there's going to be a mental health evaluation as a condition of probation.
He did some bad
And you have
math.
to comply with whatever, if any, follow-up
Get
is
from back there.
recommended. It could just be take medication, but whatever the professional recommends is what you'll have to do. There are court costs of $770 plus 100 costs of prosecution and 100 costs of investigation to the police department, and you'll have to pay those off as a condition of your probation. So they're going to take you into custody today to begin serving that sentence. And again, you'll get credit for those 42 days that
366
you've already
days,
served.
42
Is
credits.
there anything else that I need to address today?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor. Thank you so much, Your Honor. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, folks.
Thank you.
There you have it. 366 days in prison, 12 years probation, a bunch of community service. They take her to the prison right then and there. 42 days credit.
Yes.
82 hours community service. She wants her to do 8 hours a month, 2 hours a week. That's very odd. Well, I think they're doing that so she can have some purpose in her life. I'm waiting to see her, them lock her up. Girl, they taking the walker to jail too? Oh, Lord. She can't bring the walker. I agree with the sentencing. Hey, the lady is not going to live a long time. And I don't, yeah, she might not have to do no 42 days. She probably ain't got to do no year. What soldier keep telling me to stop? Look, she know how to take fingerprints. She a regular old felon now. Maybe she a gangster. And Renee said, this is an injustice. What part? Because you want her to get longer than 1 year in prison? I wonder if she has money to sustain herself when she gets out or benefits. To be fair, she worked in the school system. You get used to taking fingerprints. Oh, not an inhaler. Her shirt got a live little pocket right there, huh? That's a nice little old purse shirts. How's she gonna get around with that walker? Well, she was moving, kind of scooting across that court kind of fast, though. Child, I'm waiting to see them take her to jail. She can have her walker in prison. They probably give her a walker. They got to search that walker, make sure she ain't got no drugs or contraband in it. They finna take her in a wheelchair. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Sayonara, Miss Ellen. Oh, they giving her hugs. Oh, she laughing. When they do take fingerprints in the school system, I think I'll have to leave. I don't know. Sometimes they take fingerprints. There go her husband Jerry, y'all. All right, so there you have it. This has been a good live, you guys. We saw the sentencing of Jermaine, life with no parole. Everything else consecutive for the lesser charges. We just seen the sentencing from Miss Ellen Gilland, 66 days in prison, 42 hours credit, 82 hours community service, 12 years probation. She won't do a whole year. Letting stuff say she was prepared for forever. Yeah. Wonder how she's gonna be treated up in there. Probably good. Somebody gonna call her mama. Somebody gonna call her grandma. You know, they're gonna have her in the light, what's called light supervision or whatever. They ain't gonna have her up in there with the killers, you know, and murderers and stuff like that. You can't work with children without having a background check and or getting your fingerprints read through the system. Right. As teachers. So I'm finna tell y'all this, and then I'm finna jump off of here. I'm not finna listen to no, I'm not finna hear no fussing at me. I'm not finna hear no opinions. I'm not finna listen to none of that. I don't want to see nobody rolling their eyes at me. So I'm finna just drop this on y'all brains. And then I'm going to just leave up out of here. Meet me at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for night court. I have switched the trial. I have made an executive judicial decision that the murders is too much, is too long. It's they don't show the evidence. I've been having less people in the night court with that trial. I made an executive decision. I have picked the trial, and y'all have to tune in tonight at 7 p.m. in order to find out which one y'all picked.
Thanks for watching. Do not forget click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. Like, comment and share. See you next time.